Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the Toyota Tacoma Trailhunter and the GMC Canyon AT4X. I borrowed the GMC from Randy Marion GMC, so take a look at their link down in the description below. Also be sure to take a look at the videos where we've been able to take both of these models off the pavement to really see how capable they are, as well as our full detailed reviews, so that way you can see more driving impressions as well. So let's start off with the MSRP, where the Trailhunter starts just over $62,000 versus closer to $45,000 for the GMC. Now in today's review, this AT4X is closer to $62,000 with that AT4X package along with a few other options, and the Trailhunter is going to be closer to $64,000. Now it's also worth noting that you can get the TRD Pro, which is going to be similarly priced to the Trailhunter and of course to this GMC. Now the Trailhunter is powered by a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged hybrid engine. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic. It pumps out 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. For the GMC, this is powered by a 2.7 liter inline 4-cylinder turbo paired to an 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. Now both of these are primarily rear-wheel drive, of course. They have their respective 4-wheel drive systems. There's a curb weight of 5,400 pounds for the Tacoma versus 4,900 pounds for the GMC, so it is going to be slightly quicker at 6.5 seconds for its 0 to 60 time versus closer to 7 seconds for the Tacoma. Now as far as their fuel economy goes, the Tacoma has an 18.2 gallon fuel tank. You'll expect to see 22 in the city, 24 on the highway, versus a 21.4 gallon fuel tank for the GMC, and you'll expect to see 17 and 17. So it does have a slightly larger fuel capacity. However, the Tacoma is also going to have more ground clearance at 11 inches versus 10.7, and then their approach, departure, and breakover angles are going to be fairly similar, just vary a few degrees. Now let's work our way to the exterior styling, where we have a big difference. So you'll notice for the Toyota, there's a light bar installed along with a forward-facing camera. There's a distance sensor, switchback fog lights, so they'll go between white and amber. There's also LEDs up front and then a skid plate up underneath to give you some more protection, and then a cutout in the bumper as well to improve that approach angle. And then a few lines that come down the hood to give it a great look. Now for the GMC, this has a forward-facing camera, much larger logo there. There's cutouts in the grille too, and then this model has a separate design for the headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. Fog lights in the lower section there. There's also tow hooks too, and then skid plates underneath, and a similar cutout in that front bumper to help with the approach angle. And then some nice lines that come down the hood too. Now we are on unlevel ground, so it's not going to be quite fair to see the ground clearance, but they both are going to be very capable off the pavement. Now as we work our way to the side, this AT4X has the Multimatic suspension, so it does provide it with a lift. You get the 33-inch tires with a really nice set of 17-inch wheels. For the Trailhunter, you get an 18-inch wheel along with the 33-inch tires, and then you have the Old Man Emu suspension for this model. So still lifted, both have their respective suspension setups. You do get plastic for the fender arches. There's a reflector on the GMC there, and then both of these have frame-mounted rock sliders. So when you're taking these off the pavement, that is going to give you that underside protection with that breakover angle. Now you'll notice that there's a camera, no turn signal on the side mirror. You get a turn signal and a camera on the Tacoma. And then as far as on the roof goes, you do get a sunroof for the GMC. No sunroof for the Trailhunter. However, you do get that with the TRD Pro. So if you're looking to get the sunroof, you'll have to swap over to the Pro. And then both of these have the short box. You can get a 6-foot bed for the Trailhunter. I'm not sure if you can get a 6-foot bed on the GMC or not. But in back, you'll notice Tacoma is stamped in the lower section. There's LEDs for the taillights. This has the ARB steel bumper with all the parking sensors in it. It can also tow right around 6,500 pounds. And then this also has the power tailgate. So you have a button on both taillights. You have the one in the middle, the one on the key fob, of course, and that will easily open up. Now the Trailhunter also comes with a compressor. So you have all the adjustments for it in the upper section there. So that way you can use that as needed. There's also the channels for tie downs. You do get a 3-prong outlet and some storage. And then there's also the bed rack system. So you can actually separate that and slide the back section backwards just to give you some more capabilities within the bed. This model also has some mud flaps, and then with the Trailhunter, you get the high clearance exhaust. So it's going to dump in front of that rear axle to give you more clearance. Now over on the GMC, LED taillights, there's a backup camera. This has a body colored rear bumper, but it is worth noting if you go with the AEV edition, you will get a steel front and rear bumper to match the Trailhunter. And then this has a towing capacity of 6,000 pounds. With the AT4X, it is slightly lower just because of the suspension setup. And for this model, it does not have the power tailgate. However, it still has the soft open, so you can have that nice and slow. Now this has a full spray and bed liner. There's also a 3-prong outlet, and then you have some hooks in the lower section to attach items. There's no channels up top, but you can use those. And this model also gets storage in the tailgate. So very neat to see that. You can place some recovery straps or some smaller items in the back. And there's also a tape measure too, so you can use that. And this is a very light tailgate, so it is easy to close even though it's not power operating. Now let's work our way to the back, where mid-sized trucks are going to be a little bit tight. Now the interiors will vary a little bit. With the Trailhunter though, this is the model or the interior that you get with this marble-like trim accent. Now with the hybrid, you lose storage underneath the seat. You do get a little bit behind the seat. There's the JBL audio behind this driver's side. And then you do have a grab handle, so it makes it easy to hop in. Now I'm 5'10". I do have the front seat set at my height. It is small, like you would expect for a mid-sized truck. You have cup holders, auxiliaries down below, and then I have maybe a ½ inch or so of headroom. I could sit behind myself very comfortably in the back. Maybe not go on a long road trip, but it is doable for around town to at least have adults in the back seat. You also get the power sliding rear glass there, and so it's what you would expect. If you need anything larger, of course, you can go with their full-size versions for both of these models. Now for the GMC, you get the white interior with the two-tone design there, all the stitching too. If we lift this seat up, since it's not the hybrid, you have a switch over on the seat there, and you can lock that up and you can get some storage. And then we have no grab handles for your back passengers, but at my height, possibly a little bit more legroom. You have cup holders, you get vents and auxiliaries down below, and then maybe slightly more headroom. So a little bit more than the Tacoma, not by much though, but it's going to be a similar feel just depending on who's up front and where the seats need to go. Now with the GMC, what you get here, which I like, is the armrest with cup holders, and then you do not get a power sliding rear glass. So this one is manual. So that is a big difference with both of them, and of course that center armrest. Now I'm going to go through the front tech very quickly just because I have the full detailed reviews, but you get memory seating adjustments, side mirror controls, window adjustments, and then a split design with the storage. You get a power operating driver's seat. The passenger seat is power operating as well, and then you have AT4X on the side. Now there's no grab handle for your driver. You do get one for your passenger, however. And then as we start this up, this has a leather steering wheel. There's also volume and tuning adjustments on the back side of the steering wheel. You get cruise with distance pacing, a heated steering wheel, and then you do have some different information that you can go through within the digital gauge cluster. So basically certain pages here that will pull up some information. You have off-roading page there too, some daily driving info, just depending on what you would like to see in the conditions that you are in. You have voice commands too, shortcut to your music. There's also a trailer braking system. There's a head-up display. And then with the infotainment system, you can go through quite a lot. So there's all of these icons. You even have an air down mode, which is pretty neat. Now you do have all the controls for headlights, fog lights, things like that within the screen. So there's no physical button for some of that information. So you do have to go into the screen to activate some of that. There's also shortcuts on this left side. So you can pull up a split view, get into the music, navigation, phone, and then you have a shortcut to the controls too. So pretty easy to go through. And then you have all of the physical buttons down below for your climates. This also gets heated and ventilated seats. You have temperature adjustments, fan speed, recirc, where you'd like the air to go. 2 air vents are underneath that. And then this comes with a locking rear differential. You have a locking front and rear. There's engine start stop, lane keeping assist. You have an auxiliary control for the power in the bed. And then you can also put all 4 windows down with the push of 1 button. Now it doesn't work to put them all up, which I think would be cool, but on a hot day you can just push that, they'll all go down. Now you get wireless charging. You also have the camera system, so you can see around the entire vehicle, and especially if you're off-roading, this is going to be very helpful. So you have a few different angles that you can go through, even some under vehicle camera angles. So you have a split view for that. Very nice and helpful, especially if you're off the pavement. And then you have drive in the low range gear. You have your 4-wheel drive selector, so you can go through all of those modes. And you have a few other modes that you can get into as well. So off-road, tow and haul, you have terrain, and a few others here to scroll through. Now there's the e-brake, cup holders, and a little bit of storage. You do get more storage in the armrest with that removable tray. And then you have plenty in the glove box. Really nice trim accent behind that, along with the rear view mirror, and then you have controls for the sunroof. Sunshade is manual adjusting. And then with all pickups, basically, I would say the visibility is going to be about the same. Since you have that pillar right there behind you, it's really not all that hard to see. And then you have that camera system, of course, to help you out. Now, working our way to the Tacoma, this is missing memory seating adjustments. I think that is a must. So hopefully Toyota will do that at some point. But you have your window control, side mirror adjustments, and a little bit larger of a door panel with the split design. Now you also have power operating front seats, and no grab handle for the driver's seat either, but you do have one for your passenger. Now we have a leather steering wheel, just flip-flopped with the info. So you have the cruise and adaptive cruise on the right side, and then on the left side, you can go through the screen. Now it's still probably as configurable. You have 3 different settings here that you can go through, and then when you enter each one of them, that's how you can control what you would like to see for the left, the right, and the center. So you can configure all 3 of those, so you can have your daily driving page, your off-roading page, towing page, things like that. Very similar to the GMC, just a little bit different of a layout. Now this model also comes with some factory auxiliaries, so you can hook up other lights or compressors, anything you may have, you can easily hook them up. You get a power tailgate, like I mentioned earlier, the power outlet in the bed, traction control, automatic headlights. You even have the ability to change the pitch of the headlights. So depending on the visibility that you need, you can angle them up or down, which is pretty neat. There's the fog lights and the light bar up front and the dome light for the bed. Now this also gets a head-up display. It shows some more information like the distance, pacing, miles per hour, and what gear you are in. This also has the JBL audio versus the Bose audio, and you get that removable dash speaker. And then you also have a larger screen here. You have a lot of settings here. You can also go through your vehicle information, and that's about it. You have your phone, music, nav, and then you can quickly get back into all of the apps for your phone there. So pretty easy to go through, and it's very nice to have for your phone, of course. Now you have power and volume with air vents, and then you have massive temperature dials for all of the climates. This also gets heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, defrosters, where you like the air to go. You get wireless charging with some more auxiliaries and a lot of storage space. And then with the camera system, it is missing an undercarriage camera system like in the GMC, but you still have quite a lot of angles that you can go through. Would be nice to see some cameras up underneath, but you have the 360 view here, so kind of similar, just in a little bit different of a configuration. Now you can also shift using the shifter here, and then you have your e-brake hold, you have 4-wheel drive, and then you have a downhill assist control, multi-terrain select, and crawl control. Now crawl control is basically like having a front and rear locker. It's going to send powers to the wheel where it needs to go. And you do have a few different on-road modes too. So you don't actually have a front locker independently like the rear locker, but you can go into these settings and kind of use that system in a similar way. Now you have a trailer backup assistance along with the trailer braking system. You do have a shortcut to the view button or the camera system there, so you can turn that on. And you also get an electronic disconnecting sway bar, so you can use that. You get cup holders, storage as well. You do get storage up top and then some in the glove box. Now this also has the digital rear view mirror, so you can go through all of those settings or just use it as a standard mirror. You have garage door buttons, a sunglass holder, and then dome lights. And then here's a look at visibility. Like I said, it's going to be similar to the GMC just because the pillars are nearly identical. You just have that bed rack there for the Tacoma. So that's it for the exteriors and the interiors. Let's get both of these trucks out on the road, see how they drive. So let's start off behind the wheel for the GMC Canyon. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, we had a Canyon for a week. We had the AT4X with the AEV edition package. So that model was closer to $67,000. We were able to daily drive it, of course, for a week, and we took it off the pavement to really see how well this vehicle does. So take a look at that off-roading video so that we can see the capabilities as the truck is. But in terms of daily driving it, since this is a truck that will probably see pavement more often than off-roading, it's a very nice truck. The Multimatic suspension is very comfortable and smooth. It provides it with a soft ride, which is good for articulation off-road, but of course it's good for on-road too. And I'll just do a minor acceleration today since we've done that in the full review. This is not broken in yet. But for the 4-cylinder with the turbo, I think it has plenty of power. Now, it's not quite as much as the hybrid in the Tacoma, but it's definitely more than the base engine in the Tacoma too. So you're kind of right in the middle, just shy of the hybrid engine. But a lot of people have been knocking the 4-cylinders in both of these trucks. I think it has some great capabilities to it. While it's not the outgoing V6, it has about the same power, about the same towing. Fuel economy isn't that much different, to be honest, especially the Trailhunter that I've been driving for a week. So there's not a lot of gains with going with the smaller engine, but it's still impressive to see with the regulations and what manufacturers have to do, they can still get the same capabilities from a smaller engine. It's not very loud either. You don't really hear the turbos as you would expect for a pickup truck like this, but I think it definitely still has the capabilities to make it a great daily driver and to do everything that you would with a truck like this. It's also pretty comfortable and quiet. From the week that we had one, I didn't really have any complaints with it. It would make for a great daily driver. On the small side, of course, for a mid-sized truck, but if you're not looking for a big truck, it's a lot more maneuverable, especially through the trails. And there's very nice materials for this model too. So we're basically at the top trim level for the Canyon, where it has a nice interior, just a nice feel for it. Now, I'll talk about headroom for the driver. I have probably about 4 inches or so at 5'10". We do have a height adjustable seat too, which I know was a big concern between this and the Tacoma for people maybe over 6 feet tall. The GMC did have better or offered better headroom for a while, but you'll see once we hop in the Tacoma here. So about 4 or 5 inches of headroom, which is nice. And it's a great place to be. Everything is very easy to use with all the controls and the layout. So you have a lot to offer for the price of this vehicle. But let's hop into the Trailhunter now and see how that differs. And as we jump behind the Tacoma now, you can see this is a much different interior, of course. And as we give this some gas, we can get up to speed. Now with the Trailhunter too, this is the only model from the factory that comes with the snorkel, so you can actually hear the turbo noises, which is pretty neat from this. Now obviously you could do that with other models if you did aftermarket intakes or added a snorkel afterwards, but just a really neat kind of quirk with this Trailhunter. But this model here is going to be just as capable off-roading. It's a very comfortable vehicle to drive. We do have the height adjustment for the seat now too, which is new from Toyota. My 3rd gen was just forwards and backwards. Now we have the height adjustment for this. So we have probably about the same amount of headroom with the seat set at my height currently. So it's about the same in both models, but we do get a lot more headroom for this 4th gen versus the 3rd, just with being able to adjust that seat differently. And we have some nice materials for this model. So both of them are going to be well equipped. And this is a great vehicle to drive. Now, one thing I will say, with the 4th gen, you do get a smaller fuel tank. So in the GMC, it was just over 21 gallons, which the 3rd gen Tacomas had. With the hybrid here, it drops down to 18. So you do have a smaller fuel tank, about the same MPG or so, give or take a little bit, compared to the outgoing V6. So you will probably have to fill it up a little bit more often. I'm not sure if there's going to be some aftermarket fuel tank systems that you can add to get those 3 gallons back, but just something interesting to note, you do get a smaller fuel tank with the hybrid system. But very nice and comfortable. I like the seating position. You get a few more tech features in this. Now that is standard for the Trailhunter, but of course depending on the trim levels that you go with. Everything is very easy to use, kind of a similar setup to the GMC, just in a different orientation. But a great vehicle for on-road driving with the Old Man Emu suspension. It's very comfortable and smooth as you would expect. And of course, it's going to be capable for those off-roading situations as well. So coming back to final thoughts now between the Toyota Tacoma and the GMC Canyon. Both of these are really nice trucks. You have a lot of different trim levels to go with as well. A lot of people have been saying that these are expensive trucks in the $60,000 range for a mid-sized truck, but they also have a lot to offer. They have a lot of technology features, and they're very capable vehicles for their sizing. Of course, if you need more space, you can go with a Tundra, you can go with a Sierra just to get a little bit more space and still have some off-roading capabilities with those trucks. But personally for me, I'm not a full-size truck kind of person. I like the Tacoma. I've had a Tacoma. I'm looking to get a 4th gen as well. I like going off-road, and you just can't quite do that where I live with a full-size truck, and I don't need that extra space. But between both of these vehicles, comment down below, would you rather go with the Tacoma or the GMC? We have some pros and cons to both of these models, and again, a huge range in their trim levels depending on the price and what you're willing to spend for the trucks. Both of these are super capable off-road, as we have been able to experience in their factory setups here. Both have a lift, of course, so that helps. But comment down below, let me know which mid-size truck you would rather have and why. If you enjoyed this video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.